What's up, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to ace the AP English Language and Composition Synthesis essay step by step using an actual prompt from the 2017 exam. So let's get started. So for the synthesis essay, you are given 6 sources or 6 documents that can be anything from scholarly articles to graphs, charts, calendars, anything like that. And you're given a prompt that asks you to take a stance on a specific issue. And using information from the sources provided, you have to come up with your own stance on the question that's posed in the prompt. You're given 55 minutes to complete this essay in total because you're given an extra 15 minutes to read all 6 sources. So this is how I suggest that you break up your time. You can spend about 6 to 8 minutes reading the sources, annotating whatever you think is best for your strategy to complete this essay. I also suggest that you spend 4 to 7 minutes planning your whole essay, so writing an outline, brainstorming, getting all of that information out there so you can figure out what to write, and then spend about 40 to 45 minutes writing the actual essay. Here are just a few tips I have before we jump right into the 2017 prompt. Make sure your ideas are original, so don't just simply restate or paraphrase ideas that are given to you from the sources provided. Use your own background knowledge. So what really helped me was using information that I knew from my everyday life, from pop culture, books, movies, history, anything like that. Use evidence from the sources to support your own claim, not the other way around. So your essay should really, the foundation of your essay should be your own logic, your own claims, and all the sources are there for is to support what your actual stance is on the prompt that's been given to you. Make sure to use as many of the sources as you can. I think you're only required to use 3 of the sources, but if possible, try to use all of them. That would definitely be preferable. Next, don't use personal pronouns or say "I believe" anywhere in your essay, especially not in the thesis. And don't use transition words such as first, next, or lastly, because these are just kind of really obvious transition words that won't show your elevated style of writing. Here's the prompt from the actual 2017 AP exam. I just pulled it up from the College Board website. I'll put the link to this prompt in the description box down below. And you can follow along using that, or you can pause this video at any time to read over the prompts for yourself. So first off, we can see that the question is asking us whether or not libraries can stay relevant. And we have to come up with a position on the role that public libraries should serve in the future. So let's read through the 6 sources to see what our position should be. We're going to skim these sources really fast because we don't have enough time to do a close reading. I'm definitely going to do this a lot faster than you would actually do on the actual essay, but just for the sake of time. But my strategy is that once I read through the source, I'm going to draw a plus sign at the top of the page if the source suggests that libraries are still relevant in today's age. And if the source suggests that libraries are no longer relevant, I'm going to draw a minus sign at the top of the page just so that I can keep track of each source and what position each source maintains. We can see that in source A, there's a lot of emphasis placed on an informed public, on the preservation of records, and libraries are being called the cornerstone of democracy in our communities, so we are going to draw a big plus sign at the top of this page. We can use a lot of information in the second paragraph to talk about the historical context of libraries, how they've endured throughout time since Ben Franklin's era, and we can also talk here about how libraries are actually encouraging civic engagement and encouraging people to become leaders in their own community, because actually the American Library Association helped to increase voter turnout by distributing election information. And this source also indicates, we can see in this second page here, that libraries are becoming forums for people to exchange ideas about democracy, and it perhaps allows people to become more connected to one another. So we can definitely use this source. Source B is a calendar, and I know this may initially seem scary, but calendars are actually really great, really easy to interpret. So here we can see that there's a lot of different types of events provided at this library. We have a volunteer program, we have Pilates, we have Microsoft Excel 2010 tutorials. So we see that this library has a wide variety of interactive events that provide other resources to visitors other than just print books. So we're going to draw a plus sign here. We can definitely use some of the events listed. And in source C, it shows that while ebooks are widely used, not everyone has access to them, so libraries are still needed for equal access to information. So we'll draw a plus sign here. We can see that libraries are serving other roles, so actually they're serving as digital bookmobiles. They're providing services such as UMedia, which allows teens to create their own content. So libraries are encouraging innovation and creativity. And we can also see that librarians are still useful because a lot of computer users still ask them for help. So libraries are still needed for that human connection, for people to actually be there to teach you how to use a specific resource. Source D. So in source D, we can see that 81% of Americans use print books to read with children, which suggests that this supports the idea that libraries are still relevant, but the majority of people actually use ebooks for convenience. So when they're reading while traveling or when they want to be able to get a book quickly. So I'm actually going to draw both a plus and a minus sign here because we can use it in both ways. And we can also see that young people in ages of 16 to 17 still get help from a librarian, which supports the idea that libraries are still relevant. Source E is a pretty scathing review of libraries. It's suggesting that libraries pretty much don't serve a function anymore. They're seen as newfangled technology demo pits. They're theoretical places that don't really serve a purpose. And also, this source suggests that, libraries aren't necessarily functional in today's age. They're just kind of a memento from the past, so we'll draw a minus sign here at the top of the page. And source F suggests that libraries today are experiencing big budget cuts. So we'll draw a minus sign here because this indicates that libraries may be going down the drain. The future is not very hopeful for them, but who knows? We can see if we can use some of these statistics throughout our essay. Now that we've read the sources, we can start to draft our thesis. So the really important point to mention here is that I'm not actually going to choose the side that I agree with necessarily. I'm going to choose the side of the argument for which there is the most evidence. So in this case, I think that there's the most evidence supporting the idea that libraries are still relevant in today's age. So here's a sample thesis that I've drafted for this prompt. In the future, libraries can promote civic engagement, offer interactive educational resources, and enhance the public's technological skills. So this first clause will be what I'm going to write about in my first body paragraph. The second clause will be the topic of my second body paragraph, and this third clause is going to be the topic of my third body paragraph. So you can see here that I've written it in a pretty simple 3-point thesis format. You can write it like this or however else you want, whatever it takes to get the job done. And when we're looking at the actual structure of the essay, the introductory paragraph can be really short, 2 to 3 sentences. You want to make sure that first off, you introduce your side of the argument so that There is no question in the reader's mind as to what side you are supporting, and then you'll provide your thesis. In your body paragraphs, make sure to refer to the specific part of the thesis that corresponds to your body paragraph in the topic sentence. And the way you'll structure your body paragraph is that you'll make a specific claim, and then you'll use evidence from the sources that are provided to support that claim. And what you can do actually is, after you use information from a specific source, you'll write in parentheses, for example, source A, and then put a period at the end of the sentence to show that you've used that source. And what I find is really helpful is offering counter arguments in your body paragraphs, because this is a really great way to integrate sources that don't necessarily align with your point of view, but you're still integrating them into your essay to use as many sources as possible, and it also shows that you're looking at the issue from multiple perspectives. And the conclusion can also be really short, 2 to 3 or 4 sentences. Just make sure that you reiterate your thesis and end with a new insight, so an idea that you haven't mentioned before in your essay. I'm just going to show you guys how I would plan out my essay, or what information I would include in each body paragraph. So in my first body paragraph about civic participation, I would definitely want to emphasize the idea that Ben Franklin thought that libraries can serve as an equalizer, so provide equal access to information, which is highlighted in source A. I also want to talk about how the American Library Association used libraries to increase voter turnout. And my own idea that I kind of use source A to think up of is the idea that libraries can be a forum to share political opinions, and it can even foster bipartisan compromise, because it offers a place where people of different political ideologies can come together and discuss their ideas civilly. And a counter-argument would be that source F says that libraries are facing budget cuts, so who wants to invest in libraries? But this actually proves why we still need libraries, to urge people to have a voice in government on issues such as budget cuts, elections, referendums, and issues that directly affect them. And in my second body paragraph about educational resources, I'll use the calendar to provide examples of different events that libraries can offer. And this shows that libraries are places where people can find other people with similar interests, which really can't be provided by an ebook. And librarians themselves are excellent resources to help people find sources such as books, scholarly articles, excerpts. They can even teach teens how to research. And I actually use my own knowledge to include some background information here. I personally have, used librarians to figure out how to research on databases such as JSTOR and EBSCOhost. And this information wasn't provided in the sources, but I'm just using my own experiences here. And in my third body paragraph, I'm going to definitely talk about the different services provided by libraries such as UMedia in source C, and talk about how libraries offer access to technology for those who don't have it at home. And even though that one source said that libraries are now becoming weird tech demo places like the Apple Store, library resources can still be really useful because they can teach senior citizens and others how to use technology effectively. And you can do a lot of things in libraries. You can learn how to code. You can learn how to make an online job profile. You can attend a resume workshop. You can look up information. There's just an endless supply of ideas as to what we can use libraries to do. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Click to subscribe and tap the bell to receive notifications whenever I make a new video. And tell me in the comments below any questions you might have about the AP Lang exam. I will see you next time.